Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast. And today I'm here with Kaila Maguire, who is also a fellow podcaster, former teacher, who has her podcast, Parenthood, shares all those parenting realities that they don't talk about or teach you in the books. And so thank you so much, Kaila, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here and talk with you.
So I'm so excited for you to share a little bit about your background story and where the podcast came from. Like, how did this become your calling?
Yeah. It's a great story, I think, anyway. So you let me know. So I am a former kindergarten teacher. I taught kindergarten for about 5 years. And my last year teaching was the 2019-2020 school year. So I feel like everyone hears that number. And yet we all know what that means. Mm-hmm. I became pregnant in the beginning of the school year. And, kind of from the beginning of my pregnancy, my husband and I were just kind of weighing our options of what we were going to do after I had the baby. And we all know that teachers do not get paid very much. Mm-hmm. So it was a real discussion of, is it worth it for me to essentially pay to have to go to work because I'd be paying for childcare?
I've heard so many people say that it ends up costing them more to put their kid in daycare than to bring home a paycheck.
Yeah. And then it was also, we kind of I feel like the nail in the coffin was one day we just talked about what a typical day would look like if I did go back to work after my son, Robin, was born. And I like to get to work very early. My husband had to get to work very early. So it would be like a 7 a.m. drop off at a daycare or a babysitter. And then we were kind of like, well, and then maybe we could hopefully be there by 5 to pick him up. And so just like 10 hours, like just 10 hours of us, neither one of his parents being with him, we're missing out on so much. That was kind of like, after we looked at it that way, we were like, yep, financially, it's not even worth it. Yeah. And then also like that emotional aspect. So I decided to stay home, and I actually made this decision before the pandemic started. So it was kind of just already a done deal, and it did end up working out.
The pandemic just sealed that fate for you as well. Like,
100%.
This is the universe saying the right thing to do.
Yes, absolutely. I could not imagine going to an elementary school, like one of the germiest places, having a newborn at home. So it really did kind of just help me make my decision. And then I started Parentel in November of 2020. So my son was almost 6 months, and I was kind of just like emerging from that postpartum 4th trimester cocoon. And I was very, I don't want to say angry. I guess I was just very like shocked and just really miffed about so many things that I had experienced in postpartum and in pregnancy, but a lot of, more recently in postpartum, that I just had no idea were coming for me. No one had ever said these things to me. There was zero inclination about how intense of a transition it really truly is to not only be pregnant, but then to bring this brand new roommate home. And you're just like, what do I do with you? And you're physically healing. So it was so many things. And I had known for a little while that I wanted to start a podcast, but it was kind of one of those like, oh, this seems so cool. I want to do this, but I have no idea what I would talk about. And then 6 months postpartum, I was like, here we go. This is what I absolutely could talk about all day, every day. And been doing it since then. And it's been a really great learning experience for me. I feel like I have learned, every single person that comes on my show, I learned so much from them, and I have really grown this community, and I do feel supported. And like, this generation of parents is really trying to break some cycles and also normalize a lot of conversations that previously just weren't talked about because it wasn't, maybe polite or was embarrassing.
Yeah. And I think, we worry about that judgment. I don't know about you, but, because there's this expectation of this is something you look forward to. So many families, they struggle. You try so hard for this. And then when you're having those hard moments and you just are frustrated and stuck and angry, you feel that guilt of, but I'm not supposed to feel that way. I'm supposed to love every moment of this going, oh my God, I hate this.
100%. I felt that way a lot when I was pregnant because I didn't really like being pregnant. And I guess my expectation, I don't really know if I thought I would love it, but I guess I didn't really think I would dislike it as much as I disliked it at times. And I very much felt like I wasn't allowed to express that to really anyone, like except for my husband. And I don't really think I did because I didn't want to be judged. And I know that there are so many people, like we got pregnant really easily. And I know that is, a lot of it is luck, but I know I'm very fortunate in that. And I didn't want to seem like I was not grateful for what I had because I was, and I still am. And I've learned that I can feel those things. I am grateful. And at the same time, I didn't like it all that much. And it was really hard. Like I'm allowed to feel both.
Yeah. I think we can separate, and we need to learn to separate having a physical discomfort and emotional discomfort and our gratitude, that they're not equal. They're not the same thing. And so you can be, not enjoy having your baby's foot shoved inside your ribs and having to go pee every 2 minutes, or all sorts of other physical things that come when you're pregnant, after pregnant, the exhaustion, the lack of sleep, getting peed on, different things, and still be like, I love you, but oh my gosh, just stop.
Yes. Oh my gosh. To this day, my son just turned 2 last week, and toddlerhood is a neighborhood that I'm like, where's the exit? How do I leave? Because this is a lot. And it really is at the exact same time, like, oh my God, he's so cute. And I love him so much. And like, this is so cool. He's like an excellent talker. And I'm just like amazed watching him. And then at the same time, I'm like, please go to sleep. Dear God, leave me alone. I can't.
Yeah. Stop with the questions. Please stop talking. I know I taught you to do this, but stop.
Yes, it is very much like you talk so well, but like, oh God, can you? Like he literally said yesterday morning, he was eating breakfast. My husband and I were talking real quick before he went to work. And I guess he didn't like the fact that my husband and I were talking to each other, or maybe he wanted to talk to my husband. And he literally said, no more talking. And I was just like, the teacher in me was like a little bit, like just the tiniest bit proud, but I was just like, what is what is happening here? This is not my life, but it is.
I remember when my son got to the age where he said, Mommy, just stop singing. Like we were in the car and I was like, but I like to sing. And all of a sudden it was like being told, no, that's not enjoyable for me. You can't do that anymore.
Like, I appreciate your honesty. Like, good for you for being honest, but like, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you say being a parent has changed you as a person? Because even though you worked with people's kids as a kindergarten teacher for 5 years, it is such a different experience when they're yours.
It really is. And it's one of those experiences that you don't know until you know, I would say. So that's the question that I ask every guest who has a kid who comes on my podcast. And every single guest who has answered it, I have identified in some way with what they have said, maybe with just the tiniest bit of their answer. But ultimately, and I was thinking about this question this morning, ultimately, I really think it's made me softer. Like it's softened my edges, and it's in a good way. I always make the joke, or I guess like I've always been known as like a very sarcastic person and like just like a hard outer shell because it's, it's protective. And that's how I've learned to live my life. And I feel like I'm not able to keep that hard outer shell as intact anymore now as a parent. Like it cracks very easily, and I'm much more prone to like sympathy just in general with other people. And it's very strange how like when you become a parent, I think also, especially when you're the birthing parent. So like as his mom, it just has softened me to just feel things more deeply and feel things for others more deeply. And that's where that sympathy piece really comes in. And then I would say the other really big thing is it's kind of funny, I guess they're technically opposites. So I've become, I feel like softer and just like more in tune with others, and what other people are going through. And then I also am really good now at, drawing like pretty strong boundaries for myself and for my family. I am very aware of the fact that my energy is finite. And so I can't give everything to everyone all the time. And that includes my husband and my son. I have to kind of reserve at least a little bit for myself. And if I don't, burnout is something I know very well. And especially, in the last pandemic parenting is all I've known. Like, I don't know anything other than that. So I'm very experienced with burnout down. It is just awful. And so I'm working really hard to try and be proactive instead of reactive. So I feel like in general, I am more aware of where my boundaries need to be for myself and also for my family.
Yeah. No, and I love that you share all of that, because those are some of those honest things that we don't talk about. We think we should always be compassionate, but it does come at a different level when you have kids. That burnout, can come and go at different phases based on the things you're dealing with, and definitely to acknowledge it is so hard. I'll be honest, for me, I think the thing that came out as I was a parent was this level of fear that I didn't used to have, kind of like that vulnerability of, I am giving the world my most precious possession, my heart. I'm sending it out there. And that fear of like people being kind, people taking care with it, that fear of just all these what ifs that, I used to be just a lot more fearless than I think I am now, because all of a sudden I saw it from this perspective of, it wasn't about me. It was about this thing that I loved, and I just wanted to protect it and wrap it up and put it in a bubble, but I couldn't. And so that fear of just that worry that I didn't used to have, and trying to work through that, and allowing, now my oldest is 20, and he lives in a different state going to school, and just being okay with not always having my finger on what's going on.
Yeah.
And, trusting that the universe will be kind to them.
Yeah. I think, that sympathy piece, when I think back, so I didn't go back to the classroom after I had my son, but if I were to go back to the classroom now, I remember, like, especially the first week of kindergarten, and every school is different. I've taught at a few different schools, but for many parents that are starting the school year, it's their first child, and kindergarten is the first time that they're going to be in school all day away from them. And so the drop off can be really hard. Yeah. And I understood that before, but it was much more, I guess I had much less sympathy and I had much less patience, because from a teacher perspective, I was kind of, like, okay, well, if we draw out this goodbye, like, it's actually making it harder for him. Like, we need to get into routine. We need to get started. And now I'm thinking like, when I drop Robin off at kindergarten, I'm going to I don't want to leave. I'm going to want to stay. And I already know him. He's so funny. He's literally going to be like, okay, bye. See, like, he is going to walk, like, not even turn around and look at us. But now it's so different imagining dropping off your child at to be with other people, and you're just not going to be there, and you're not going to know what's happening until they come home.
Right. So what do you do for you still now, to take care of you, to protect your boundaries? Like, how do you recharge and find that quote bliss in your busy?
It's really, really hard. I'll say that first. It is. I'm like really great at it some days, some weeks, and then there'll be a little chunk of time where I'm just not giving myself enough time for myself. And it's one of those lessons I'm just kind of continually learning, that it is okay to kind of just put myself first. And I'm still working through that mom guilt, because I shouldn't even call it, just guilt in general. When I do decide that, like, I'm going to have like dinner by myself in the guest bedroom tonight. And I tell my husband, like, I'm just going to have dinner by myself. And it's great for the first couple minutes. I'm like, yes, this is what I needed, just to be by myself and like not have to talk to anybody and just sit here and watch TV and kind of zone out. And then I hear them having a great time at the dinner table, or I hear my son laughing, and And I think, like, crap, I should be out there. I'm like, why aren't I out there? How come I don't want to be out there? Why do I need a break? And that anxiety spiral of that guilt. So I'm still working on that, but I love being by myself. And I've always been that way. Like, I need that time to recharge. I could be by myself all day and just like have the best day ever. Like, that's just awesome. How I operate. I think it's so, for me, I just need it to recharge my batteries. So I do look for little ways to kind of just be by myself. A lot of it happens right here in our guest bedroom, is me just kind of saying like, hey, I'm going to go just be by myself. I actually started painting my nails as like a recharge moment, because I feel like it's something I'm doing something with my hands, like I'm active and it requires focus. And then like you have a nice result at the end.
That's awesome. I love that you recognize what makes you happy, what brings you joy, what brings you peace, and that you, even if when it's hard, you still set the boundary to do that. Because I don't know about you, but I know I come back 100 times better when I do. Even if it's hard at the beginning, I definitely come back in a better place. Because I don't know about you, but I know if I tried to like compromise that, I would be snappy. I'd be like, stop doing this. Please stop doing that. Because I know I didn't take care of myself first. And so I'd be trying to form them into what I needed versus showing up present for them.
Yeah. And it really does help me. Like, the guilt kind of goes away when I do remind myself that not only am I doing this for myself first and foremost, but I'm also modeling for my child what it looks like to take care of yourself, and that it is okay for mom and dad to have their own things, and that people just need to have their own things, and it's how we are and it's accepted. And I just feel like I saw that growing up. Like, I remember seeing both my parents do things for themselves. Like, my dad was a huge reader. I feel like any given Saturday, you could walk into the living room, he was just sitting there reading. And it showed me that like, oh, he likes reading. He's interested in this. And also it showed me that like, maybe he needed some time, as I got older and really understood it, maybe he needed some time to himself. So whenever I'm starting to feel like really guilty, I do remind myself that I'm showing my son what healthy personal boundaries look like. And that's something I really want him to have. So of course, if I want him to have it, I have to model it for him.
Yes. Stop and listen to that again, people, please, because I think that's so important to hear that even though you feel the guilt, this is how you work through it, because I think that's the thing. We carry it around and we're just trying to like piece together little snippets of what we need versus recognizing this is the solution, is taking that time, prioritizing yourself, you and your partner, whatever you need. And that brings you back in a better place, as well as just hearing that perspective from what you saw from your parents, that that's okay. I love when I get that feedback from my kids as well, like whether they're asking questions and interested in what I did, that's important to them to know me in that way, and that I didn't do them a disservice by taking time for myself.
Exactly. And I've even started, I think I had a conversation about this with my therapist a while ago. And I was talking about how I do feel like, like there's FOMO, like I'm missing out. And then there's the guilt, and it's two separate things. And they're also entwined within another at the same time. And not only did she kind of like, and it actually made me tear up. She was like, well, you're going to miss out on things. And I think that was the first time someone had ever said that to me in terms of like my parenting. And so I just kind of wasn't ready to hear that. So that hit me like, oh, but I mean, it's the reality. But also she mentioned how like, this is something that you're doing for your son, and maybe even just say that out loud. And that has helped me too. Like, instead of just walking away and going, because he's young, he's 2 years old, instead of just walking away and going into the guest bedroom, or instead of just like going outside to read in the hammock or something, I do tell him, and also for my benefit, just to say it out loud and remind myself, I'll say like, mama's going to go talk to her friends on the phone because mama has friends, and it's important for people to talk to their friends, and it makes you feel good. And I do think he is starting to understand that it's okay for his parents to go off and do something and take time away. And then also by saying it out loud, I'm like, yes, I'm okay. I'm not a bad parent. Like
No.
I'm just a human being.
And that's the thing. You're showing him you're a person in addition to mom. And I love the way you just phrased that and worded that. People, please steal that, because that is a great way to explain it to your kids. So you're not just, disappearing and things like that they understand, because they're so concrete. And if you tell them exactly what you're doing, they're okay with it. I think it's the unknown that's the scariest part for them. And so I love just how concrete you frame it for him. So he knows this is where mom's going. This is what she's doing. She loves you and she'll be back. And they're like, okay. And they go run off and chase butterflies, probably.
Yes.
So what are the things that you would say? Because I always talk about gratitude as being a big part of self-care as well, because I think we only focus on what doesn't go well, what's not right. But when we focus on what's good and what's going well, we're able to take care of ourselves and view those moments as bigger than they are. What would you say are those things you're most grateful for?
Gosh, lately I'm really grateful for my husband and the connection that we have. So we actually have been going to couples therapy since, I think maybe mid-March or early March. And I know even just on your show alone, this is the second time I mentioned therapy. I am a huge proponent of therapy. And I am very much like, it's improving yourself. It's improving the relationship that you have with yourself, but also the relationship that you have with other people. And I really have seen a huge change in like our level of communication over the last 3 months.
Yes.
And also I feel like we no longer have to necessarily remind each other that we're on the same team. Because I feel like before we used to forget, and then we would have these disagreements and we would just feel this big disconnect. But now we kind of already, like, we don't even have to address that we're on the same team, because it's already there. Like, it never leaves the table. It's always sitting there. And I don't know if that sounds corny, that like, I'm super grateful for my husband, but no.
And I love, as a counselor as well as a social worker, thank you so much for sharing this perspective that therapy, counseling, it is awesome. It's not a bad thing. It's not something you do when you're just in crisis or in trouble, but it is about strength and communication and connection, and that it is about what's good in a relationship, what's good in yourself. So thank you for sharing that, because it is, I think, about breaking down those stigmas and stereotypes when it comes to therapy. So I'm so glad that you see all those amazing benefits from it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been going to individual therapy for consistently for 3 years now. And I just feel like, especially just where I am in my life right now, and then the fact that I had a baby 2 years ago, it's just been such a lifesaver sometimes to have a third party person to just help me work through things and maybe like call me out on my shit sometimes. Sorry. I don't know if I can curse. I'm constantly telling people, like, you're not going to therapy because you're wrong. Like, it's not an I gotcha. And I had to even explain that to my husband too. He's in the military, and there's unfortunately huge negative stigma around mental health and seeking therapy and like seeking treatment for your mental health. And he thankfully doesn't fall into that category, but I still had to kind of like get in there and like, no, like, we're not going, like, it's not something that's wrong. We're just trying to be better, and we're just trying to be more healthy. It's just improvement. It's not like a punishment. Yeah.
I've looked into like presenting it even as like mental fitness and mental wellness, because we go to the gym to be physically fit. We're willing to work with someone at the gym to get stronger in our physical fitness, and to see therapy not as a thing, like you said, because it's bad or wrong, but you're strengthening, you are building fitness from a connection emotionally and mentally. And to have somebody help you do that is how we do things in the world.
Exactly.
And so it is to normalize all of that, I think, is so key and so important. So thank you.
Yes, I am just here to like normalize everything. Just the human experience, which includes like all of these gross, like not fun, not cute parts. But I think a lot of the reason we are embarrassed about certain things in our life, or like pregnancy or postpartum, or even like going to couples therapy, is because it's just and when I say we, I mean society, we've just kind of unfortunately made it that way, but that doesn't mean that that's the truth. And so I'm constantly just in my life, and like, I feel like with my family, I'm constantly just trying to reverse that thinking, because that's how you start. And then my goal is to have a child who turns into an adult who is like talking about therapy and like asking pregnant people like the actual helpful questions instead of just saying, wow, you look tired, or sure you're not pregnant with twins, like it's constant work to be a cycle breaker, which I do consider myself a cycle breaker. And it is like one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, other than raising a child. And I'm doing both those at the same time. But the end result is just trying to better it. Really, again, corny, but like it comes down to trying to better the next generation while also bettering yourself.
No, I think it is a kind of it's a process that happens at the same time. I can't even think of the correct word for it, but it's like, you can't just improve things outside without working on yourself at the same time. But it's like, they do go hand in hand, where it's like one step for me, one step for them, one step for me, one step for them. So definitely. And I love the fact that you put it all out there on your Parent Tell podcast. Definitely subscribe to her. Are you on all the channels, or where can people find the podcast?
All the platforms.
Awesome.
Everywhere.
And we'll definitely have the links in the show notes. So thank you so much, Kaila, for being on the show and for everything you're doing for all the moms out there.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really, really nice talking with you.
Yes.
Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger, as well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much, and talk to you soon. Bye.